G'day everyone, welcome back to Zero Access Footy episode number 28, our first official, finals episode. We are really close to finals. We are officially 2 days away before the most exciting time of the year begins for us AFL fans. Once again joined with the Premiership Quarter, as he has just recently posted on the Premiership Quarter. I wanted to point that out because I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you and your efforts to get into the content and continuously keep going there, despite how dead it could be.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
But let's get stuck into our one review game of the week. And there's really not much to talk about with this one.
This happened 5 days ago.
We really thought that this was going to be a more exciting game than it ended up being.
Yeah.
I have some Dogs fans in my family who watched this game at our place, hoping that the Bombers could pull off a miracle. They turned it off by the first quarter. So that was enough to explain how this game went.
Yeah, pretty much. Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson are good.
Yeah, they're very good, aren't they? I mean, it is against a team that they should have beaten by this much, for being completely honest.
Yep.
But they've done it. They've made finals. I'm so glad they did not choke this. I'm glad they did not choke it. However, that being said, there are some individual awards and individual moments that have been highlighted in the most recent week. We were talking last week about our predictions that we didn't get around to. And in a week's time, the whole team has been released. So we had the squad of 44 come out, I think a day or two, or maybe even the night of the time we had filmed that podcast. And then not long after, full All-Australian team was announced. And there are some fun ones in this one. That is a Saints sigh, if anyone needs specifics onto what that sound is. There is one name. Honestly, for me, there's three names in that back line that surprised me. And for you, it's like one has been highlighted in red, emboldened, and has like a middle finger up at you. You want to explain how you feel about Josh Battle?
He who shall not be named was a good lockdown defender. He was getting paid $900K a year to do that. But in every stat you ever see, excluded any bad game he ever had, as all stats do. Unfortunately, he conceded 6 direct goals against Collingwood, and that was never brought up. I feel like that one game alone should have knocked him out of any finals contention for the All-Australian squad. He just, was a good lockdown defender, and that was it. He probably wasn't better than Tom Barrass all year.
Well, that was my thing. One of my predictions was Tom Barrass. I thought early on Tom Barrass was going to be that guy. He didn't end up being, and I wasn't really mad at the fact he didn't get the All-Australian squad nod. I was very surprised when Battle got it, and then even more surprised when he hit the team. I was really surprised by that one. Another one that is contentious to me as well, despite how good he looked in the first half, Sam Taylor. I think while he was good this year, he really started to drop off in that second half, and others started picking up where he was dropping off.
Agreed.
But the problem for me is I don't think the people who caught up on him were the likes of Josh Battle. I really don't think he was the one that could have made like a bit of a scare for him. I've got plenty of other players who I think played much more, impactful roles for their side. Sam Taylor and the Giants ended up 5th on the season, but I wouldn't say it's because of Sam Taylor, especially because he had a fair few weeks off too, did he not?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised of Taylor being in the team. I understand him being in the squad, but he wouldn't have been my probably top 3 picks. But we might as well get straight into picking our own teams. We'll start off with the back line.
Yeah.
Pretty clear fullback in this one.
Yeah, for me as well. Harris Andrews, yeah. The two up there are both our locks. We know that confirmed. I haven't tried to look at yours too much. But yeah, there's one name who you have in that I was a little confused about.
Okay.
The interesting thing is we also have the same dude who we both, or wasn't in this actual side though, that you had pointed out at the beginning of the year. Josh Worrell.
Yep.
He's one I want to talk about because I'm in 100% agreement with you. It was going to be him or Kane. I thought one of them had to get a spot. The fact that neither of them did is quite crazy, ranked as 1 and 2 defenders. I think Josh Worrell had some moments of slip up, but he was always so impactful, and how surprising that defense ended up being. I thought one of them had to do it, and I was expected to see Kane, not Worrell. But to not see either of them surprised me. So I put Worrell in my team because I think not only his leap, but his impact getting the ball up the field. I think with Mark Keane's role too, his role was much more lifted up by the guys around him. Harris Andrews is a leader on all fronts. That's why the likes of Stephen May back in the day would get his All-Australian votes, is because he was the clear leader of that group. So was Harris Andrews of that backline for Brisbane. It's why it's worked so well. Mark Keane isn't quite like that. I think that backline is much more of a 6-person job. They all have their roles. They can't just rely on Keane to punch down everything. They can't rely on Worrell to punch down anything. But the thing is, they've been really good. So I thought Keane could have got the nod. But it's just up against the other people in his, I guess, in his position. Yeah. Hence why Worrell gets it, not Keane.
It's very much attributed to you're either a key defender or you're a general defender. I think it's key, medium, and then general.
And the worst part for general defenders is that their spots then also get taken out by
all the halfbacks.
not as great midfielders though.
Yeah, true.
Because I think in previous years we've seen the likes. I don't know if Dacos. Where was Dacos this year?
Dacos was on the bench.
Sorry, I forgot about that. That's kind of funny.
Deserved.
But I was quite surprised by the fact that we didn't see any of that or too much of that bleeding from the midfield into those like half-back, half-forward lines. I guess the only exception is Naz, who, I mean, he had to be in there somewhere. And because he played half-back most of the year, it kind of makes sense for him, but you could definitely make an argument for the midfield.
Well, my backline is obviously Andrews and Worrell. I think if Callum Wilkie had made the team, he definitely should have been. Like, he 100% should have been there. He was fantastic all year. But I feel like Sam Collins is very underrated and under-talked about his importance to this Gold Coast
100%.
team. So I've got Callum Wilkie in my team, but if we had to do it simply based off of players who made the All-Australian squad, Sam Collins would be my replacement. I think he had a better year than Sam Taylor.
Sam Collins, 100%.
And even a couple others, I think he was just as good. I've got Naz, obviously, as half-back. Bailey Dale as well. I thought he was supreme for the Dogs all year. And Lockie Ash, who did tail away a little bit, but I think his first half of the year, he was a top 5 player according to Champion data.
I would argue his year, at least his second half even, is better than Josh Battle's.
100%.
I don't know how Josh Battle has gotten the spot. I'll be completely honest. But I guess the argument is his team. No, you can't even make that argument because they finished 8th. Lockie Ash his team finished 5th.
Yep.
And had a pretty decent defense. They did pretty all right. It's still a shocking one. For me, the ones we are the same on in the back line are Harris Andrews, Josh Worrell, Naz, and technically Sam Collins, as well as Lockie Ash. But Bailey Dale, for me, the backline, I get in an individual sense, right? He had some big 49 disposals against Essendon. So many good games here and there, but he was such an on and off player, hence why the Dogs struggled so much this year in terms of their defense. So I've given Jordan Clark the nod. I think he was actually in the team, I believe. But I've given it to Jordan Clark, one, because Freo made it, and their backline, along with plenty of other players. Again, it just comes down to Jordan Clark makes the most of his position. You could easily argue Luke Ryan has had a decent year. Brennan Cox, I think, has one you've mentioned previously. He's had a pretty decent year as well. But Jordan Clark has been that together man that has the right spot to get himself snuck in here, which is honestly, like, in terms of all of Fremantle's players that they've got listed for All-Australian, he's probably got the best possible chance of making it purely because of what role he plays. So, yeah, Jordan Clark is my, I guess, exception to yours.
Okay, fair. I do have him. It was borderline. Him and Dale, I think, were the two tossing up. I think Lockie Ash 100% deserves it. But because you can argue Bailey Dale not necessarily contributing to a winning team, that aspect
That's
maybe.
my thinking, but I think the reason he's in the team is individually. And if that's the case, then put Sheasel in there. But not a single North player got in.
No.
Put him on the halfback.
No. And we should now switch to our midfield.
Yeah.
Because this is obviously going through it. Who is your All-Australian ruckman? Because there was a lot of debate about this one.
Yeah, my All-Australian ruckman, I've stuck with purely the squad, right?
Okay.
So I've seen who you have, but I've gone with purely the squad, who was picked in the squad.
Yeah.
I've gone Max Gawn. I think because the only two ruckmen in this year's All-Australian squad were Grundy and Gawn, for me, it's one of the two.
Jackson.
Oh, Luke Jackson as well. Yeah, no, you're right. But for me, he's such a he's either a forward or a ruck. And so it never really crossed my mind that he could be the ruck. I think almost he's been let down by the fact he's played two different positions all year.
Well, if you're not your best ruckman at your own team and you're not going to be a better forward than Ben King, how you there? I just don't get that.
Again, comes down to like statistically individual. Like, oh, look, he's kicked this many goals and gets in the ruck and impacts there. But it's like, but you haven't dominated a position that puts you in that team, and that's kind of the way people look at it. For me, Max Gawn. It was between Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn. Sure, you could say Luke Jackson, but again, his own problems. Gawn, more effective. Obviously, he's had his moments, like both the traditional ruckman in this class kind of had. Grundy has had some individually fantastic performances, and honestly, a lot of a bounce back year for him. I'm surprised that he got it over Sherry, and I hate to let my North bias get me. And even Cameron. Look, I'll even give Cameron.
Darcy Cameron was great. There were a lot of really good ruck seasons. Even Jared Witt. No one's mentioned Jared Witt.
Yeah, that's a good shout too. No one's mentioned Witt. But considering I saw Gawn and Grundy as the main ones in this squad, I had to go Gawn because I think Gawn has played a more impactful role for it. He's been really, really solid in our otherwise really poor team in Melbourne. Probably one of their only highlights for me. So considering how good Sydney looked towards the end, I don't think that was off of Grundy because Grundy has been a bit of I'd say passenger despite his results.
Fair. And your midfield?
My midfield. So I've gone in my rover or ruck rover positions. I've got Jordan Dawson and Noah Anderson.
Yep,
My
same.
Centre, I've got Matt Rowell.
Mm-hmm.
My wings, I have Bailey Smith and Nick Dacos.
Okay, there's a certain name they're missing that you have to have. My ruckman that I chose was Tristan Cherry. I feel that he was very harsh to miss out on the squad, and I feel extremely lucky to then miss out on the team, obviously. His importance to you guys was very much understated in terms of your scoreboard impact relies solely on your centre clearance dominance.
Oh, yeah.
And he's the big reason to that. I understand, obviously, you guys finishing 16th has an impact on that, but I still feel there's an argument that he was just better all around than Grundy, who started off really poor and then finished off amazing. He was better than Luke Jackson because he's actually a ruckman, and he was arguably better than Max Gawn because whilst Gawn was still great, his lows were probably worse than he's ever been since he's been a superstar ruckman, and that's probably why I feel Cherry was up there. If we're going specifically based off of the squad, I do have Max Gawn there, but I do have two ruckmen in my team, which we'll get to when I go to the bench. My midfield is Dawson and Anderson, and then obviously Richards at my centre. And then my two wingers are Bailey Smith as well, and Hugh McCluggage.
I was thinking Hugh. I was really thinking Hugh.
He's a lock in this team
Can you repeat? Yeah, no, I can say it. Sorry. Yeah, for me, Hugh McCluggage, oh, man. He was really tough for me to pick because he is also in a scenario where it's almost a team-based thing. And sure, like they finished in the top 4. That should influence me. But for some reason, Hugh just never came up. I couldn't pick him over some of these players purely because it was almost like Hugh, while he could be Brisbane's best player, there are plenty of players in that midfield that could easily be the best player on any given day. For me, it was the only exception being Gold Coast because those two felt like massive carry jobs outside of Took Miller. But Bailey Smith, because I don't have his teammate in the All-Australian team.
Okay.
Nick Dacos, arguable for sure, but he is going to poll a lot of Brownlow votes and has, I mean, irrespective of what people expect from him, he has had a good season.
Yep.
Who else have I got in here? Jordan Dawson, explainable. He's just been ridiculously good this year. So impactful. And then Noah Anderson, we've talked about him. So it's almost like the best of the best that Hugh is coming up against. And you can almost make the argument that he's not the best in his own side.
No, he is. This year he was.
And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's you have to look at it as a whole thing. You can't pick and choose. So maybe that's my fault for not having Hugh in there. But like you look at Dunkley. Dunkley's had some fantastic games, and he's not in my squad. Dunkley could easily make it.
Dunkley's just not a passenger, but he's the one who just sits on the outside of that contention.
Yeah, he's on the outside of contention, but he's like in and under. He gets the dirty ball. He doesn't have the flashy plays.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I understand it. I still think his damage and his scoreboard impact this year was better than any other season he's had.
Honestly,
And
that
it
could make
deserves it.
make a good argument for him being on the half forward.
Yeah, it could. But I feel like he's done a lot more inside work than previously before.
Yeah.
Your forward line, or do you want to start with my forward line?
Are you excited about your forward line? Do you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, I've got a couple in here that might not be there for others.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to start with my two key forwards, which are Riley Thilthorpe and Jeremy Cameron.
Very nice.
I think Jezza obviously has to be a lock, and Riley Thilthorpe, what he's done for Adelaide this year, I think has been very much appreciated by others.
It's
and
a fantastic
he deserves
growth.
it. Yeah.
Such a
Yeah.
good growth.
I love the beard too. My two tweeners are Jack Gunston and Isaac Heaney.
Yeah.
I think simply based off of expectation, what Jack Gunston's done is terrific. And Isaac Heaney has had the highs of his best, but his lows have probably been just as bad, unfortunately. But I still think his back half of the year was enough to warrant this selection. And then my two small forwards, gone for Cozzy Pickett and Jamie Elliott, who I thought was very hard done by to not miss. To miss in the squad.
100% with the Jamie Elliott pick. We've actually both got Jamie Elliott and Cosy Pickett. I think Jamie Elliott, considering how lucky he's finally been to have a healthy season, how impactful on the scoreboard he has been despite the obvious, he's not as tall, doesn't get too much possession. He's so impactful with the ball. And again, despite all the negativity around Collingwood at this very moment, they finished top 4 with him as a main forward target. That is seriously impressive. And so if Collingwood had finished first, I think their fall to 4th has cost him that spot. I think it would have been locked. I think it would have been locked if they had finished first. But, just happened to go that way.
I just think he was the answer to their forward half issues for a lot of the season.
No, 100% right. But on top of those two, I'll go to my other forwards. Jeremy Cameron is the obvious. I've actually gone Jack Gunston as my other main forward. I think his season has been fantastic. He has been, again, kind of in a similar vein to Jamie Elliott. While you could mention the 4 tools, Jack Gunston's year has been only highly rated towards the back end when he started really getting his name in that column.
Well, he missed early games as well, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess you can make that argument, make the argument for it. But the fact he caught up, he's caught up to, not Jeremy Cameron. Cameron was very clear this season, but to be in that podium place race, and I think he finished 2nd or 3rd.
Finished 3rd after Ben King.
Yeah, that's a fantastic recovery, and I think it's very, very impressive for a man who's most likely reaching the twilight of his career.
100%.
To get to that point. So I think he well earned that second forward position. And then for me, I wouldn't say tweeners, but Isaac Heaney is one of them. He's still in there. Fantastic season again. Not quite Brownlow type season like last year that was contending, considering their circumstances, but another great year. It's hard to take him off if he's playing at this level. And Zach Bailey, I think, I get it. I understand that he didn't feel great about it, but again, it comes down to the role he plays. I've actually put some of the people who could have pinched his spot on the bench just because I think his recognition in that kind of, I've got him in like a forward pocket position. He's been so impactful in that forward line despite Eric Hipwood's poor performances. Charlie Cameron has been quite quiet a lot of the year. Zach Bailey picked up on where those guys lost it and ended up being a really, really impactful forward this season. And definitely could make the argument for the other two here in the bench positions being in his spot. But I think Zach Bailey deserves the recognition. You could easily argue for him to take the bench over these guys.
I just feel if you're going to pick Bailey, he needs to be in the wing spot.
In the wing?
That was his position for majority of the year, a forward half winger. And I understand, obviously, that's what the All-Australian squad does. And he has been known to be more of a small forward who moves up into the midfield.
I'm just looking at the players who have that spot. And if I were to take Bailey and put him in that spot, maybe Nick Dacos, maybe put him on the bench instead, considering that's where he ultimately ended up being. I don't know.
It's interesting. But
very
personally, I wouldn't go for it. And then our benches, I'll start. I've got Jordan Clark. I think, as you said, great year. Great off halfback as a ball user, but also he's good enough defensively compared to someone like a Bailey Dale who might not be. Got Nick Dacos and Andy Brayshaw as my other two midfielders. And then, depending on how you see it, I've got Max Gawn if Tristan Cherry plays ruck.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, obviously, then I've got Matt Rowell in my team.
Yeah, yep. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. Andy Brayshaw is one that, for some reason, the list I had did not have Andy Brayshaw on it for some reason to pick from the squad, which was really weird. So I haven't got him in this team.
Ridiculous.
You can blame SEN, Andy, if you're watching this. It's not my fault. But Andy has missed my side, which is quite wild because that means just the one Freo player has made it.
Yep, I'm
considering
looking
how
for
good
one
they are.
specific player on your bench, and I haven't looked at your team at all. So I need to see this player.
So my 4 players on the
Yep.
bench, and I'm really excited to see how you react to this. I've got Marcus Bontempelli.
Missing from my team.
Yes. Ed Richards.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there you
Thank
go.
you. Yep.
Yeah, Ed Richards was the one for me who he was number 1 rated player of the year.
For like 22 out of 24 weeks.
Exactly.
Yep.
Ed Richards gets the bench position. Ben King.
Okay.
Ben King, second place, could have taken Bailey's spot. And then the other is Riley Thilthorpe.
So you've gone double key.
I've gone double key
Ooh.
forwards for the bench purely
Ooh.
because I think this year's forward race was so intense. And Riley Thilthorpe wasn't even at the top of that list, but you know how impactful that man was in the forward line. He was so impactful. It's just because his position was so lifted by Cameron's 83, I think he finished the season with. Ben King's high 60s. We had Jack Gunston's 60s. I believe Ben King, sorry, who else is in here?
Aaron Norton kick 60.
Yeah, Aaron Norton as well. What the hell? That's crazy to think about. I'm quite glad he didn't make the squad purely because he was very clearly a second half of the season player.
I
Sure,
had-
you could
I had
make
him
the
in my
argu-
squad.
You had him in your squad. Okay, that's fair, I think, considering where he finished in the Coleman. But for me, I'm glad he hasn't made the team nor the squad. It's, again, debatable.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's the case because he was so clearly a second half and so clearly loved playing along Sam Darcy. I think Sam Darcy is going to be a future All-Australian, no doubts about it for me, unless injuries completely derail him. He's got Riley Thilthorpe level impact, almost double that, considering how tall he is. If he gets a bit stronger, he's already quite strong. He can already work his opponent quite well, and his height, he moves unlike anyone at his height. So it's so exciting, I guess, the future of what this league could look like.
Yeah.
But 2 key forwards was definitely one that made me go, am I doing the right thing here? I don't know how I feel about it. And then obviously the questions you brought up with Bailey being in that position. Who else in here that you questioned? Ed Richards.
I want to question your Marcus Bontempelli because I know he was in the team. He was on the bench in the team. Was his 17 games better than Hugh McCluggage's 23 games?
See, that's a really, really good perspective. That's a really good perspective.
Because that's the way I view it. Was Bontempelli's 17-game season better than Hugh's 23-game season? Because if it wasn't, then Hugh should be in the team over him, without a doubt. Was his season better than Andy Brayshaw's 23-game season? Where I think Brayshaw was clearly better than Sarong because you saw Sarong was getting tagged.
Sarong would get tagged and that's the reason I didn't chuck him in.
And it shows probably more important, but it doesn't show consistent level and the ability to deal with it, which is why I have Brayshaw over him. I'm very interested that you've gone Bont because I specifically left him out, same as Sam Taylor, because they missed those few extra games.
Yeah, okay. See, I almost forgot that Bontempelli missed those few games. Bontempelli feels like a legacy pick at this point.
It does.
It's kind of the same with Max Gawn. It's like you can't believe the All-Australian squad without those names in there. And so Bontempelli has, don't get me wrong, he has played All-Australian level and absolutely deserves to be sitting along those guys for this season. But yeah, the argument is Hugh McCluggage's work and body of work has been, one, over a longer period of time, and two, potentially more impactful. Again, for me, it comes down to the idea of it's almost like they have more to work with. Bontempelli sits at the top, despite the fact that Richards has technically played better than him this season. Bontempelli just sits at the top of that club. And it's almost impossible to believe that someone could outplay him in his own team. So, yeah, the argument is Richards could make that team over Bont. McCluggage could make that team over Bont because of the fact they played more games. But there's almost something mentally in my head stopping from taking him out. And that is such a pathetic way of making your All-Australian team.
You are
but
quite
I think
literally blocked in your head.
I know. That is the worst way of putting it. But other than what you just said, I agree with what you're saying, and I think that could very easily influence me to put McCluggage in over Bontempelli.
Perfect. Well, if we want to just do a quick summation of our teams total, I have removed all the ones that did not make the team, or the squad, and gone with the actual team that I have chosen. We'll start with our backlines each. Harris Andrews, Sam Collins, Josh Worrell, Bailey Dale, Lockie Ash, Nazaya Wanganeen Millera.
I feel like this is pointless considering we've just gone into discussion about it, but I guess for short form content, we're going.
No, just wrap it up so I don't need to go back.
Worrell, Andrews, Clark, Wanganeen Millera, Collins, Ash.
I've gone my midfield, Max Gawn, Jordan Dawson, Noah Anderson, Hugh McCluggage on the wing, Bailey Smith on the wing, Ed Richards in the middle. Who was your captain? I forgot. And your vice captain?
Jordan Dawson was my captain.
Noah Anderson's mine.
And Anderson for my vice.
Harris Andrews is my vice.
Not Cameron captain.
No, definitely not. Oh, God, no.
That's quite crazy.
Your midfield and ruck.
So my ruck was Gawn, Dawson, Anderson, Rao make up the midfield with Smith and Dacos on the wings.
And your forward line was?
Heaney, Gunston, Elliott, Bailey, Cameron, Pickett.
Mine was Jeremy Cameron, Riley Thorthorpe, Jack Gunston, Isaac Heaney, Keziah Pickett, and Jamie Elliott. And your bench was?
Bont, Richards, King, Thilthorpe.
Mine was Jordan Clark, Nick Dacos, Andy Brayshaw, and Matt Rowell. And that wraps up our 2025 All-Australian team.
It's just crazy because, like, we're looking back on this knowing that we've started from day one of the season. I think that's really cool that we've managed to kind of see it all progress. So, a little bit introspective on Zero Access Footy.
Still don't understand how he who shall not be named was in that team. But it does not matter anymore. Does not matter anymore.
Yeah, let's have a look at Behm Gaddy's Deal or No Deal.
Second ever.
I'm disappointed we don't have all the people in the background.
Same.
I'm really sad about that.
Yeah, do better, Ethan. No, I'm joking. You did good. Well, what I'm going...
Trying to stay in producer Ethan's good books, are we?
Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single team and list the players that are rumoured to go to them this off-season. Some teams have lots, some teams have very few. I'll go through the confirmed and some of the requested as well to make sure there's a bit of clarification. So we'll start off with Adelaide. Sam Draper and Callum Archie are the two. They've offered Archie a deal to try pry him out as that premiership experience if they potentially don't go over the hump this year. And obviously to look at getting a younger ruckman with Riley O'Brien towards the end of his career. Understandable. Callum Archie's 50-50 at this stage, in my opinion. But Sam Draper looks more likely to head to Brisbane at this stage, even though Adelaide did make a new meeting and he was a bit more convinced. Brisbane Lions, Oscar Allen has been basically confirmed to go to them. It's basically going to be band 1 compensation, which results in West Coast Pick 2. Jordan Ridley as well just recently requested a trade there, although it was shut down by Essendon. The players tend to get their way with this, and I find it very interesting for Brisbane's sake. The potential outs that they're going to have this year, with also Sam Draper, as I mentioned just before, being linked to them as well, and them being the heavy favourites. Who do they drop and who can potentially leave to greater opportunities with these players and potential draft picks as well, because they've got academy players coming through, because the list spots are going to be very tight by the end of the year. Those are the only 3 that I've seen so far linked to Brisbane. I just find it very interesting that Jordan Ridley has been shut down so quickly. But as I said, players do find their way there. Carlton, we know how interesting of a trade period this is going to be for them. Liam Ryan has been some interest. He hasn't specifically requested to them, but he has requested out of West Coast. Could they get it done? Very possibly. But at the moment, it is favoured towards St Kilda. Jack Petrocelli has been linked as a difference in terms of the players they currently have, that extra speed and outside run that they don't have on any of their current small forwards. Buku Kamas has been linked if Jack Silvani potentially leaves. They've got a couple in ruckman here as well, given Tom de Koning leaving in Liam Reedy from Fremantle and Ned Reeves from Hawthorn, given Lloyd Meek's resurgence. And then I also think they should target Sam Flanders, which has been brought up by John Ralph. Obviously, Sam Walsh, we know how important he is to their midfield, combating the likes of Chera, Cripps, and Hewitt. If they can get another one of those outside midfielders in Flanders, it complements them a lot better. I think that
Can
midfield
I
mix.
quickly bring
ahead.
up a point for Carlton? Where does Jagger Smith find himself in that team?
It's a good question, because he probably doesn't start off half back.
That was my thinking. where the hell does Jagger Smith fit in here? Does he get weeks in the VFL before they bring him up for a week?
Nah, a pick that high, I feel like you start with that Murphy Reid role.
I can see it, but it's almost like Jagger Smith, they've brought him in as a future midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really interested to see what role he works himself into because, God, what an awful start to his career. It was documented really early this year. I'm really keen to see what Jagger Smith can make for himself within this side.
We move now to Collingwood, who have been linked to Jack Silvani. They are one of the front runners with him.
Yep.
Obviously, the Craig McRae going on a date with him.
That was cute.
Okay. They've also been linked with Ned Reeves as well as someone to potentially replace Mason Cox, who could be on the outer by the end of this year. Essendon, Liam Ryan, one of the teams that could potentially be in the running for him. They've got the money. They would probably want a small forward to help develop the likes of Kako and another NGA product they've got coming through.
Yeah.
Marcus Wintager, they're one of the teams he was mentioned to, although St Kilda have buffed up their offer to 4 years now.
Yes, I did say that.
Which looks more promising for him to sign. And then due to the money they do have, they'll obviously go and target Jack Silvani as a player who is on the outer looking to stay in Melbourne and another defensive option for them to go to if more injuries happen. It's a very interesting thing for Silvani to go to potentially Collingwood or Essendon, given the family ties to Carlton.
God, what a nightmare.
The booing you will see if they play Collingwood or Essendon early and he goes to one of them would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be almost too much for the Silvani family. My goodness.
Fremantle haven't been linked to too many as of this moment. However, Judd McVie still has not signed for Melbourne, and there is rumours he might head back home to WA, and they are one of the teams linked. Geelong, how many superstars do you think I'm going to name?
All of them.
Charlie
get offered
Curnow.
with farmland. Hell yeah.
Charlie Curnow, James Warple, who is looking more favourably to go to Geelong at the moment. Rowan Marshall being involved. Zach Butters, who won't leave this year, more than likely. Clayton Oliver, the interest from last year. And apparently Ollie Lord, which I haven't heard from before, but there was a name shout from there. Gold Coast, lots of talent coming through in this offseason through the draft with 4 academy players. And so there's going to be a lot of exit meetings where they have to get rid of players. But the 4 players they are linked to so far, Charlie Curnow, obviously that link. Jamie Elliott.
Really?
Trying to pry him out and fix those small forward spots and an experienced premiership player.
Really? Jamie Elliott's on the outs?
Collingwood, with their targeting of Silvani, those likes, sort of murmured away some of their more experienced players. Brody Myercheck's one. Jamie Elliott was one.
Yeah.
And Beau McCreary's another, who Gold Coast are looking to target as another small forward. Very interesting stuff with Gold Coast.
Because they've got already, we've discussed before how crazy Gold Coast can look like in the future with all their future talent that could come through. Adding those types of players, experienced players, is something that I did not see Gold Coast getting, honestly. I thought they just wouldn't be able to drive them out. But if they can do that, it'll just start a new era of this finals run and just hitting finals could be the start of a brand new era for Gold Coast.
100% on the dynasty. GWS, the other expansion team, obviously targeting Marcus Wintager and Rowan Marshall from St Kilda. That's because Kieran Briggs hasn't really hit the strides of the back half of 2023 since, and that has caused some issues with their stoppage game. Windy, obviously, because he's a good young midfielder and the ties to Finn Callaghan, which is why St Kilda tried to bring Callaghan in.
Yeah.
They've also got a couple older players of key defenders due to legally potentially leaving and finding some replacements for Taylor and Buckley, who have shown to miss some games over the last 2 years in Jed and Laverde and Joel Hamling. Understandable. Hawthorn looking at 2 midfielders, Zach Butters and Petrarca. Pretty stock standard there. There are a few players, though, that could be leaving. A lot of players.
Yeah. Well, do I want to go into them, considering I think some of them come up in other teams in this one?
There are a couple that come up in other teams, not too many, but there's...
Because if we're talking about players leaving Hawthorn, who are the ones that we start with?
So there's been rumours of Cam McKenzie being...
He was one that I was going to bring up.
His manager came out and said to St Kilda, he's happy to leave. Give us an offer and we'll send that to Hawthorn. Hawthorn rejected it immediately. There's rumours of potentially one of their key defenders who aren't in the team at the moment, potentially Sam Frost or a Jack Scrimshaw or a James Blank, one of them potentially leaving as well to greater opportunities. there are anyone else here that I see. James Warple's the one as well as a midfield
Yeah,
option. He's the one that's
yeah.
heavily linked to move pretty consistently at the moment.
Yeah, so Warpel is one that I had heard things about, and it makes sense because he's kind of finding himself more. He's come off as sub a lot in the late end of the season. If they're trying to bring Butters or Pachaka in, I think Warpel's the one that goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of change with their midfield, hence why they're targeting those upper echelon.
They would love him as depth, though, and I think those backline, despite the names not being massive, backline depth is so important. So important. I think teams like Brisbane have been so lucky that they've had backline depth, and we're seeing it pay off in spades now with the likes of Ainsworth being injured, with
Payne
being injured. We're seeing how helpful having that depth is. So don't sleep on the fact that Hawthorn are losing those guys.
So moving on to Melbourne now, they've obviously been involved with Marcus Windhager, one of the clubs who would be offering him a contract as a young midfielder to replace the likes of Oliver, Petrarca and Viney. Max Heath is a backup ruckman as well from St Kilda, which is very, very interesting. Wade Dirksen from GWS as a medium forward option, and James Warple as well from Hawthorn as another midfielder to move away from those likes. North Melbourne, your team.
What do we got?
Charlie Spargo.
Look, I'm not mad at it. I'm glad that we can at least link to some players.
A small forward who isn't 30 centimetres. Marcus Windhager obviously offered him a 5-year deal. Some nuffy thought it was 1.2 million with an incentive for a 6th year.
Such a North thing to offer.
You're not even offering Harry Shearswell that much money.
It's such a North thing to do. Such a North thing. Oh, my God.
That's really bad. And then you've also been linked with Jake Lever as a potential helper down back alongside Comben, Logue, and Toby Pink.
I'd be very okay with that.
Toby Pink.
Shout out, might go.
Port Adelaide, Judah Naz not coming to them. They've got Jacob Ware, who's like a small defender winger from the Giants.
Let's all laugh at Port. Let's all laugh at Port.
No more Naz. Let's all laugh at Port. Richmond's been linked to Malcolm Rosas Jr. as just a good young small forward. I'd also probably include Alex Davies in that as someone to potentially move away from Dion Prestia. St Kilda, this is where the bucket list starts.
Yeah.
Let's go. TDK is confirmed. Liam Ryan has requested a trade to Melbourne. That St Kilda are one of the favourites for him. Jack Silvani, there's a lot of rumours for there. Lika Leah as well. And Sam Flanders, there has been some involvement of St Kilda saying we are done. And Cam McKenzie as well.
Well, this is the beauty of St Kilda having the treasure chest of money. They got to spend it somehow. They've spent a lot on Naz and a lot on TDK, but they've still got some more, baby.
Yep, hell yeah, we do. And for anyone who doesn't understand the salary cap, you got 3 years to pay 90 up to 95% of, where you get 1 year to pay 105%. So you can basically bank salary cap. What St Kilda have done is all their players that were on anything close to 800-900K, they basically front loaded them all. So they're now on maybe 500K a year max. Hence why they're able to bring in so many players. They've got players coming off contracts and signing lesser deals because they're all dog shit and not good enough anymore. And that way we're able to front load contracts. Max King is probably the only one who's able to earn a lot of money this year. And we're able to move around his money however we want.
So
which gives us a lot of
easy
flexibility.
terms, easy way of saying it. All the players they already had, apart from Nas, who they've re-signed, were paid all their money to begin with.
Yep.
Right? So the longer they play, the less they make yearly. They've earned all of their money in the front half of their contract.
Correct.
So when they say front loaded, it means all the money's at the front of their contract, the first couple of years. Now they don't earn nearly as much, meaning St Kilda have more money to spend elsewhere.
Correct. Sydney are a team that is going to be very interesting because they're going to look to buy once again after getting the likes of Grundy, Adams a few years ago. They're linked to two key forwards in Kerno and Ugle Hagen. There's not a lot of interest in Ugle Hagen anymore as there might once have been. However, he did do his rehab along that coast. So there's that rumour there. And obviously Charlie Kerno potentially looking to go there but can't shut that down as a trade request. He probably won't leave, but players do often get what they want. Malcolm Rosas Jr. as well as another small forward to potentially replace the likes of Tom Papley eventually. West Coast Eagles. This is very interesting because they want to apply for an exemption because the free agency compensation pick works as a net in, net out. if Allen leaves, but they get in Brandon Starcevic, who is one they are linked to, then the compensation pick becomes less. It doesn't become pick 2. It might be an end of first round pick.
And that's the exemption they're asking
They're
for.
asking for it. Doesn't matter. We just
still
want to keep
get
that
pick
pick
2.
2. They're also interested in Jugman V, the same player Fremantle is, the West Coast Melbourne player. Sorry, the WA Melbourne player who is yet to sign a contract. Interested in Will Phillips from you guys, just another couple midfielders, and Neil Erasmus from Fremantle as well.
Yeah.
Just someone who can come in and play to replace the likes of Sheed, Gaff, Shuey, and Tim Kelly over the last few years.
Can I very quickly ask you what
Yes.
your thoughts are? Because we have talked about this before on the podcast. That exemption, I think, could change opinions, because we have said the Eagles deserve that compensation pick for Allen.
Yep.
Do they still deserve it with Starcevic along with it? Because that's essentially what happens. When they lose Allen, they get Starcevic and pick 2, not just pick 2, as we had mentioned before, because pick 2 would then turn into Starcevic, is what we're kind of saying.
We also mentioned that they should get compensate priority picks.
Yeah.
I said they should get one at the end of start of this year's second round, start of next year's second round, that they both have to trade. I was very firm in that belief, given what the AFL did only 3 years ago for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if that affects this specific thing, though. Because if they apply for that exemption, I feel like they won't get those priority picks. And then if they do get it, it basically means that they get a start of first round, end of first round pick, their own pick, and then obviously those 2 picks that they would need to trade, compared to just pick 1 and pick 2.
Because I was all with what they were doing, because obviously similar situation in North, they've just been stuck in an absolute, and I think their case is even bigger considering how big of a club West Coast is. They could make the argument, the club, the AFL relies on this club being good, so it's in your best interest to help us out.
Yeah.
But this almost feels, I don't know, with the way it's been presented, it feels like they're asking for such a large, I guess, addition on top of what has already been suggested. I don't know. West Coast is a massive thing we could get into with how low they've gotten and what they possibly deserve, but we'll see how it goes. I find it very interesting that while they are getting this massive deal, I guess, to help them out, asking for Starcevic for free, basically, is interesting. It's an interesting move.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to do, what the AFL will do about that.
And the final team is the Western Bulldogs, who at this stage still look as the front runner for Jack Silvani. They're linked to Jacob Ware, Neil Erasmus as 2 sort of smaller midfielder and defenders to potentially replace the likes of Libber or Trelaw, and then also Zach Butters. They seem the favourite for when he potentially leaves as of next year. That is all of the trade news.
It's a lot of trades.
It's
a lot of potential.
There's a lot of potential.
And when does it kick off?
No idea.
Fantastic. We'll just see trades start kicking in all of a sudden. We're like, oh, it's exciting now.
Live on the pod. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Nick Dagos gone to North Melbourne.
Oh, thank God Ethan has been saying he's going to win the next 10 Brownlows. He'll shortly do it at North. Let's go. We move to week 1 of finals now. We finally get into the fun stuff. We've had a lot of dead rubber games. Nothing is dead rubber now. We have got everything exciting. I'm super keen to hopefully see that Friday night game at the MCG, the only Melbourne game. We'll find out, though. We'll start off, though, Thursday night at Adelaide Oval. Probably the most exciting game of the round. It's so good we get to see it in week 1. Game 1, Crows versus Pies, again at Adelaide Oval. Oh, my God. Am I excited?
This is going to be such a good game.
I don't know about you, but this game ties into one of my bold predictions that we're going to mention in just a second, right after this preview. But, Crows versus Pies could go either way. I know that a lot of people are down on the Pies at the moment for good reason. But we saw with their most recent game, this could go either way. It really could.
Easily.
If controversial calls are to happen again, it will be even more outrage than what happened in that in that matchup in the regular season. But where does this game come down to? I'm not sure how long have we said that we want to put into this segment. We want to go 10, 12 minutes?
Doesn't matter. Let's just talk about them.
Beautiful. Crows versus Pies, then I think I want to talk first about the Crows because with them and how good their players been, What worked against them last time they played the Pies?
Efficiency inside 50, both offensively and defensively, where they were able to score from only 35 or 36 inside 50s. They kicked 8 goals or 9 goals or whatever it was, whereas Collingwood struggled to score inside 50, 71 inside 50s for just the 8 goals. For the Crows, they were able to score and they were able to defend both inside 50s. Whether that's able to hold up again against what could potentially be a new look Collingwood is going to be the question.
But then you also want to question, will the Adelaide midfield get beaten that convincingly again?
Well, yeah, obviously, because that's where the game's always won and lost.
I understand that. No, I get what you're saying. I understand what you mean by that. But
you do lift. I think, without Rankin, I just don't see it from Adelaide specifically. And I think Collingwood with this reset and the Rankin of their own in Jordan De Goey, which is that forward half game-breaking midfielder, he looked really good against Melbourne, has now had a week off as well to prepare. I think this is obviously a lot of this Adelaide team's first ever final series as well, especially together, whereas Collingwood, they've been there and done that. And I think that experience, that know-how and how to prepare and how to really narrow down on tactically how to beat this team, I think gives them a bigger edge than the home crowd advantage, and without Rankin as well. I think it leans more towards Collingwood at this stage.
I understand the experience aspect of it all. But I want to quickly, before I mention the stupid comment that I said before, in terms of the game is obviously won through the midfield, I more mean, right, was the inside 50 domination purely because the midfield outperformed?
Not purely, no.
Yes, okay. So I guess, will we see that same kind of disparity? Will Collingwood win the inside 50 battle again more?
I believe so, yes.
You think they'll do it again?
Yeah.
See, that's where I think it won't. I think if they don't win it, they'll even it. And because of how much better those key positions are for Adelaide, in terms, especially in the forward, because do we see Jeremy Howe again?
No, not for this week anyway.
He's not the number one reason the backline is so good, but God, he's shown how important he is in terms of his backline disruption. It's shown in spades how much they need someone like him, because you've got your key defenders who are sticking on those players, that they're obviously going to be caught up with those guys. Maybe you can be a bit lenient on some of them, like Tex, but if you even show a sign of weakness against him, he'll run straight through you still. I think the Pies are going to be shocked here. Really shocked. I think this could get up to a big margin. I want it to be close. I really, really do. I want every single finals game to be close, but I think the Crows take this one by 45.
I see a world where that happens. Like, no doubt in my mind that's probably the more favourable thing at the moment. But I just think this time to prepare for Collingwood, given that it's an extra week, I think it favours them, and especially with their older legs. It just gives them a 4-week runway to absolutely spend everything. And I think it's just going to be so hard to get past them. So I'm going to go Pies, and I'm going to have them winning by 17. I just think that their system is in a better shape, even with their poor performances over the last few weeks.
I can see it happening, but the problem is it just hasn't happened as of late. So that's why I'm going Crows. Cats versus Lions now, qualifying final number 2 at the MCG. This one feels a bit safer for both sides because it's more like their form has been really good, so they can afford to play. Well, they can't afford to play a bad game. Obviously, it's finals. But if they do play a bad game, right, their form and their structure is a lot more set up to play whoever they come up against in week 2. In terms of who I think will win this one, though, it's really, really fun. I want to make a deep dive into this game. Not just this game, this small modern-day rivalry, right? These guys keep matching up against each other in these big games. It's been prelims and qualifying finals over and over again against these guys. It's really interesting. It's been so back and forth. Cats obviously beat them in 22 in the prelim to get to their ultimately premiership winning season. And then Lions last year. And they've met up before in not so massive circumstances, but prelims especially. It shows the trajectories of these sides, and the fact they keep clashing shows how good their dominance has been. So that's something I want to get off my chest very quickly. Cats it's not at the home
game,
ground
yep,
per
yep.
se, but it's so hard to tip this one. It is so hard. Cats have been so good all season.
That they have.
They thankfully get Shannon Neal back because he comes back off suspension. Just the one game against Richmond. Jeremy Cameron, been talked about all year. Their midfield looks a little different with Max Holmes and Bailey Smith being a really nice tandem. Sean Manor has now been officially announced as the AFL's best young player at 28 years old. And their backline continues to show up when necessary. What's interesting for me is this team has had a really easy run coming into finals now. They've had their little tough game against Sydney, but they have not played any really tough competition for a good month and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to affect them? I think so. I know that they are used to playing against teams and can always pull out a great performance when necessary. But the Lions, I think, are going to really shock a team like the Cats who have just not had the preparation to play against a team like the Lions.
It's leaning to me Lions by how much?
I'm going Lions by 20 because I think ultimately the Cats can perform, but just they're not going to know how to readjust to this type of competition.
The Lions have one of the best options on Jeremy Cameron at this stage, and Ryan Lester. He has been one of the best, and he's been such an underrated piece of this giant Lions team all year. I think Harris Andrews, the way he just clears the ball with his spoils, just ruins any chance for the Geelong Smalls to get into the game, and that's such an important piece of their system. And I think the way the Lions move the ball and the way that Geelong aren't able to defend ball movement anymore, I think is the critical piece to this, where they're just going to be able to move the ball with ease. On a bigger ground where there's more space for them to open up Geelong, I think it suits them heavily. And I'm going to go Lions by 33.
It's going to be such a good game.
It is.
It's going to be so good.
It is.
Giants versus Hawks, first elimination final. The first team who is going to be taken out prematurely Saturday Arvo at NG, which doesn't mean too much, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Hawthorn have never won at NG Stadium.
That is an interesting little fact. That is crazy because I was going to say the Hawks take this one.
I hate you. Josh Battle is not winning.
I forgot. It's the Josh Battle curse, isn't it? In terms of the game, I want to make this a little shorter, although you could say that the impact is a bit high considering one team goes out with this one. Is there any individuals or any certain matchups that you think could influence this game?
Does Hogan come back in? That is the real question.
That is a massive question. I forgot that Hogan.
Everything lies on that. I actually not for me at all.
I wouldn't say everything.
Giants still win.
Yeah, I wouldn't say everything. They've got some spark plugs too.
Yeah, Brent Daniels could come in as well.
That's what I didn't even remember.
Jack Buckley could come back in for them.
Jack Buckley would be huge. Sam Taylor's already been playing, right? Yeah. I know he was out for a little bit, but the likes of Stringer, does he turn it on for finals?
He could come back in, yeah.
Oh my God, that could be a lot of fun to watch him in finals again.
The Giants could have 3 of their best forwards included.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting game, but I'm just looking at the Hawks as
Josh
a total.
Weddle could come back in.
Yeah, Weddle could be good.
Whether you risk it off a back is the real question.
Is it a no Will Day, no Hawthorn type situation? Yeah, it could be. Could be. I'm going to go Giants. I'm going to swing Giants' way. It's just feeling more with them, with their inclusion. Sure, they don't have Hogan, but Cadman has shown a step up. You've seen the likes of Callum Brown step up occasionally. They've got some really big spark plugs. They could make a run this year. They really could, but they are so topsy-turvy. It's going to be which Giants do we see in this Saturday game? Going to be a lot of fun. I'm going Giants. Take it by, it's got to be close. It's got to be 7. Elimination final. Make it close.
I'm going Giants by 24 because that is Josh Battle's number and he does not deserve anything greater than that.
Yes. All right. Saturday night at Optus this time for the Fremantle Dockers and GC, I guess. I was struggling to speak there. Gold Coast, their first final. Oh,
Ever.
How I want it to be a fairy tale. I really do.
Want to be. What's that going on?
They're not playing. Shut up. Dockers versus Suns. I'm going to let you speak to start. I've yapped a bit.
Dockers have insane talent everywhere, but so do Gold Coast. It all depends on Alex Pearson being King. Gold Coast really struggle to score without King as their headpiece in that forward line. with the likes of Jeffrey being moved to down back and,
He's
and
been so
Jed
poor
Walter
down back.
being
He's been
out.
so poor.
Joel Jeffrey.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't.
Against Port, did you see how he played?
No.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Yeah, okay. fair.
There's a reason he was tactically subbed out.
Okay, understandable. For the most part, he's been pretty good for the year, I felt, at least. But yeah, Alex Pearce, what he did on Sam Darcy, I think if he replicates that against Ben King, it's pretty easy to the Dockers for me.
I'm hoping for a fairy tale. I really am. But it also comes into a little bit of a bold take prediction. I'm bringing it back to that. I think this game's going to go to extra time. I think this is going to be a extra time special that the Suns take out. Suns are going to take this one by 5 points.
Suns.
In an absolute thriller. I think that
What?
Ben King's going to fire. I think he's going to have his opportunities. It is going to be a really interesting battle for Gold Coast back for Fremantle forward.
I would love it for. I would love for this to happen.
But it's going to come from the likes of Ben Long and Jai Farah. Those guys are going to have to step up in big ways. Sam Flanders would be nice to have him have a fantastic game too.
Mhm.
I do not doubt that their midfield's going to do well. I think Rowell and Anderson. Well, Anderson, to be fair, hasn't been as reliable in these last couple of weeks, but almost 95% of the time, Anderson's reliable. Rowell always gives 110%. I think their midfield's going to get over the top of them, especially with the likes of Witts and Miller around to back those two up. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game.
I think the Dockers get out early, and then the Suns just keep clawing and clawing and clawing back. The Dockers kick another couple late, and then the Suns kick 2 really, really late goals to get it even closer. I'm going Dockers by 11, but I think it's a really strong contest for a lot of it.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for finals, man. I'm going to try and watch every single game. There's no exception. I want to watch every single one.
Finishing up today, we are going to do our 3 bold predictions for the AFL Finals Series.
Yes.
You mentioned one of yours potentially just before, so we'll start off with you today.
Yeah, I did give away one of them. One of my bold predictions is that one of the games in this first week will go to extra time. And as I've mentioned, that's going to be the Gold Coast and Dockers game, with Gold Coast coming out on top. I just need some more excitement in my life, considering how open the season was in terms of dead rubber games. We just need to make up for it somehow.
So long as we don't see a Geelong Port Adelaide qualifying final like last year, I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's completely fair. And then my second one, trying to remember off the top of my head. Oh, yes, that's it. The loser of Adelaide versus Collingwood will go on to lose in straight sets. I did mention it's a bit cheap to go Collingwood out in straight sets. But on the other hand, Adelaide in straight sets too isn't out of the question.
I'm just going to go straight into my first one. Adelaide go out in straight sets.
Yeah, do it, man.
Mentioned it last week.
Because so many people are saying Collingwood out in straight sets. Adelaide, I think, is a really, really bold one. But it's possible.
I'm saying it because they would play GWS if they lose to Collingwood. And GWS always win on the road. Always.
Somehow.
For whatever reason, they don't do well at home, which means Hawthorn could very well beat them. But, somehow they just win on the road. They did it to Port Adelaide a couple of years ago in 2023. I would be very confident in them doing it again this year.
What's your second?
My second is there will be an umpiring decision that, whether it's correct or not, will be talked about significantly, exactly like the Adelaide Collingwood one with the Riley Thorthorpe one.
That's a really good one.
That will just be absolutely slandered in the media with.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Because they always find something, don't they?
This is week 1 specific.
Adelaide get robbed.
There will be a close game. Robbed right in front of me.
We get a recreation.
In front of me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so that's my second one. What's your final one, though?
My final one is Ben King will kick 6 goals in his first finals game. So I think it would be such a nice, exciting storyline to have. Of course, I mentioned the guys around him, like Jai Farah and Ben Long, are going to need to have good games. But in terms of a first finals game of your career, in terms of really making an impact against the Fremantle side at home that is looking to make a statement, a big game from Ben King is necessary. And if I think that Gold Coast are going to win it, he's going to have to kick 6.
I like it because I did mention that battle between him and Alex Pearce. It's a really good one. My final one. We see absolutely 0 comebacks in the entire AFL final series.
As in, no one is losing at halftime or
In
losing.
terms of within 2 goals, I would consider a comeback unless it's extraordinary time constraints. Because what we saw Brisbane do last year with the I was actually the 2 GWS games, not just Brisbane, with the Sydney beating GWS after being down and Brisbane beating GWS. I don't think anything like that happens.
Really?
At all.
So you think it has to go... in order to win, you have to get a lead first.
Based that, or it stays within a goal.
I've just realised I've described sport. In order to win, you must have the lead. Far out, bro.
You've had an absolute
I've had
stinker
a
today, mate.
stinker episode.
Jeez.
Oh, but it makes it better.
Big night last night, was it?
You're about to say something else, and I was about to lose it. Oh my god! Oh, I think that is the perfect place. Oh wait, you said your last one?
I said
yeah.
my last one.
I think that is the perfect way to end off today's episode.
Let's do
of
it.
Zero Access Footy. Oh no, Donkey of the Week!
I didn't even realise that was the Donkey of the Week
because we didn't do it at the start. Donkey of the Week, I'm going to do it quickly because it was really funny. It's going to the Western Bulldogs, not for missing the finals, but for training for a finals game that never happened.
Yeah, fair.
The scenes that were described at that training were, I've never seen such a sad training session because their final season was
hanging by a thread.
Was relying on an Essendon win after 14 straight losses, and they all knew they were screwed, yet they had to go to training in case it somehow happened. Oh my god, it was funny. It was so funny. But that's what happens when you put up a disappointing 2 quarters in your so-called elimination final. So it was just unprecedented. It was funny, and that's what Zero Access Footy is all about. Pointing at that stuff and having a laugh. So appreciate you guys tuning in once again to Zero Access Footy. Be sure to follow us on all platforms. Be grateful to see you all on those other platforms as well. I thank Behm once again for joining me here again today for another successful episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Let's go finals, baby. I'm excited.